In 1599, 125 London merchants funded a maritime startup. Their target? The Mughal Empire in India, the world's leading industrial power. At the time, the Mughal Empire controlled 25% of global manufacturing, with an economy worth the equivalent of $21 trillion today. Over the next 2 centuries, the British would extract $45 trillion from the subcontinent. This drain of wealth culminated in the 1947 partition, one of the most violent and traumatic geopolitical events in modern history. The British didn't conquer or exit India using overwhelming military supremacy. Instead, they relied on the strategic weaponization of internal divisions. For their first century in India, the East India Company was in a position of extreme weakness. They spent decades begging Mughal emperors for basic trading rights, and when they tried to use force, they were crushed and forced to literally beg for forgiveness. That shifted after 1707. Following Emperor Aurangzeb's death, the centralized Mughal Empire began to fracture into dozens of independent, competing states. The British realized they no longer needed to fight a giant empire. They only needed to play these smaller factions against each other. The Battle of Plassey in 1757 became the blueprint. The British didn't win through military genius. They simply bribed a local commander, Mir Jafar, to betray his own king. After the battle, the company installed a puppet ruler and seized Diwani rights, taking over the region's tax collection. The British used Indian tax money to buy Indian goods, then shipped them to Britain for free, ensuring a 100% profit margin. By exploiting local greed and internal fractures, a single private company systematically dismantled the sovereignty of a nation from within. Following the massive rebellion of 1857, the company was abolished and the British Crown took direct control of the subcontinent. The Crown learned a specific lesson from that uprising. The diverse population of India had too much in common. To prevent another unified rebellion, divide and rule became an institutionalized policy. By 1946, post-war Britain was bankrupt and desperate to leave. But the divisions they had cultivated for a century now blocked any possibility of a peaceful exit. The final negotiations over who would rule a free India turned into a political deadlock. Muhammad Ali Jinnah and the Muslim League had accumulated enough leverage to challenge the entire process. Jinnah refused to accept a united democracy under the Congress Party, insisting instead on a completely separate nation, Pakistan. When the British cabinet mission failed to find a compromise, Jinnah declared August 16th to be Direct Action Day to force the issue. The immediate consequence was horrific communal violence. Within days, 6,000 people were killed, turning the streets of Calcutta into a city of corpses. To stop the slaughter, Mahatma Gandhi made a desperate plea. He begged the British Viceroy to simply make Jinnah the Prime Minister of a united India just to keep the country whole. But Pandit Nehru and Sardar Patel rejected the offer. After the interim government's failures and the rising death toll, they had lost all trust in Jinnah's leadership. Centuries of state-sponsored division had created a rigid political deadlock that no amount of British desperation could ever solve. With the political situation paralyzed, Lord Mountbatten enacted the Dickey-Bird Plan to formally and rapidly divide the subcontinent. On August 15, 1947, independence was finally granted, but at the cost of violently splitting the land in two. The human toll of this hasty border drawing was immediate and catastrophic. In the chaos that followed, 15 million people were displaced from their homes, and over 1 million were murdered. This overnight division left a legacy of trauma that continues to define the geopolitics of South Asia today. The extraction of $45 trillion impoverished the subcontinent, but the fragmentation of its unity became the ultimate cost of independence. A fractured nation allowed the British to walk in, and a fractured nation was the tragic price of getting them to walk out.